What up? What up? What up? This Ibn Web, Quran, some here, official thing I got going down here. Damian Johnson. One, I always say what's up to Paul, man. I appreciate the lob on this one as far as me having an opportunity to talk to Damian here. Like I said, just another blessing along the way as far as me starting this whole thing up and just having flat out just having some fun with it. So I'm looking forward to getting Damian on, just hearing about his walk, and we're just gonna get to it. Hold tight.
Good.
Yes. Nah, appreciate it. Thank you for doing this, man. I
No
really
problem.
appreciate it. I see we got some good weather there, so that helps out. Like I'm
Yeah,
trying to
it's
avoid some
it's
people.
yeah, it's beautiful out here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, how'd you end up
Yeah.
out there?
At work,
Okay.
I was actually working for a company in Connecticut right out of college
Okay.
called Gem Sensors in Plainville,
Mm-hmm.
and I was an engineer there for a couple of years, for about 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I jumped into the field to be a territorial sales manager for them.
Okay.
So I've been in that territory. I've been here since actually 9/11. That day is the day I moved.
Ooh.
Gotten married 2 weeks before that, moved down to Maryland actually, which is only about 45 minutes from where I'm at
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And then moved up here 5 years later. I've been down here since '01, man.
Nah, that's good stuff, man. When I see
So,
Pennsylvania, I catch flashbacks. I'm originally from Jersey, so when I see
okay.
Pennsylvania, I hear Pennsylvania, I just think about how many people jumped over that state line to get their plates registered out there.
Oh yeah. A lot cheaper. A lot
Yeah,
cheaper.
yeah,
Maryland and Jersey, really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yep.
With that said, though, I mean, just to kind of double back a little bit here,
Yep.
you're a New Yorker, right?
No doubt. From Queens, New York, born and raised.
What part of Queens?
Well, my mom's lived on the Flushing side,
Okay.
and my grandparents were on the South Side. You know anything about South Side? So I was kind of raised on both sides, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
Okay.
Wound up going to Hillcrest High School, and that's a whole story because, again, I played sports. Baseball was my thing.
Baseball, you're a baseball guy, huh?
Baseball was my thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually, because everybody around me was playing basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really athletic. You know what I mean? I was what they call a late bloomer.
Okay.
And really athletic, could run, and I could really jump. That's what I was known for.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in junior high school, and my gym teacher, and she was also my math teacher, Mrs. Gershon. Her husband was actually the head coach of Hillcrest High School, which was a better than school I was zoned to go to. Because the projects I was living in, I was supposed to go to Jamaica High School.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica wasn't really known for basketball like that. Hillcrest was.
Okay.
They had a winning team. So she saw me in 7th, 8th grade playing around at the end of the gym, dunk a volleyball.
Yeah.
She's like, "You're not going to Jamaica High School." So I wound up going to Hillcrest High School, where her husband was the head coach.
The statute of limitations is way gone here. So you was good enough to get an address out there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They did things a little different back then. So
yeah,
they made sure that it was, better school.
Mm-hmm.
Environment was a little different. Jamaica was predominantly a black school. I mean, it was mixed somewhat, but predominantly black. Hillcrest was a little bit of everything.
Okay.
And it was probably the newest school in Queens at the time. I think Hillcrest started back in maybe 1980.
Okay. Yeah, that's new. Yeah.
So that's kind of new for New York.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you get more exposure with the competition we played against. Even though Jamaica was in our division, we played in a lot of tournaments that got you exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, it led to me really pursuing basketball seriously, because I still played baseball in high school.
I was going to ask, what positions did you play baseball?
I was a pitcher, but I can play center field and short, but
okay.
I was throwing close to 90 in high school.
I was about to ask what was your style. That sounded like you just threw heat.
Yeah, I was good. I mean, little league, no hitters, one hitters.
Ooh, yeah.
It was, everybody saw me in the area I lived in. He's going somewhere with sports.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Basketball, I just got turned on because all my buddies were really into it. And back then, you had no choice when you thought about how big the Big East was in the mid 80s. Mid to late 80s. And you're seeing guys that when you're from New York, you see everybody, So every rapper, You know what I mean? It was nothing to see Run DMC every day or LL. LL was at my high school like every day, dating a girl.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
You know, we didn't see, we knew they were famous and they were all cool. We were all, you know, from the same neighborhood type of thing. But, you know, they would come and watch you play. And they knew you had some talent. You know, they'd foster that talent. They'd like, you know, make sure that you keep going, stay out these streets. You know, there's enough bad things going on. And eventually, you know, I just stopped playing baseball in high school because Gershon was the head coach for baseball and basketball.
Okay.
No. So I just concentrated on getting a scholarship at that point. And again, I'm a late bloomer, so I'm learning the game a little later, but I have enough talent to where it's like, oh, this kid, you know, give him another year, you know, that type of thing. And I did well in high school, well enough, you know, I started going to camps.
I was going to ask, I know back then too, 5 Star was a big camp to go to. What other camps did you
When
go
I
to?
went to, it was a camp in Syracuse.
Okay.
I was in my sophomore year, going into my junior year. And then the other one, you know, it's funny. It's actually in Gettysburg, which is about 20 minutes from me.
Okay.
And that was called BC All-Star Camp. And in that camp, it was, I think we brought from New York 40 of us. BC brought another 40. Philly brought another 40. So it was major competition up here in PA. And I mean, every college coach was there.
Yeah.
At that time, John Thompson, you know, Tubby Smith, Dean Smith, you know, Roy Williams when he was assistant at North Carolina. You just seeing everything. I mean, New York was the mecca at that. You know, when I came out, it was my graduating class was Kenny Anderson, Conrad McRae went to Syracuse, he went to Georgia Tech. Jamal Faulkner, eventually he was supposed to go to Pitt. He wound up somewhere else. I think he went out west. He was at Arizona State. Dave Edwards, who went to Georgetown. I mean, there were so many guys. You had Brian Reese, Adrian Autry, Derek Phelps.
Yeah.
You know, all these guys. Robert Phelps went to Providence. Derek Phelps went to North Carolina, won a championship. Khalid Reeves went to Arizona. Jamal Mashburn went to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So this is who I was around. This is when it got competitive. These are the guys you were comparing yourself to. And it was at the height, because behind us, we still had Stephon Marbury, Bastion Telfair, you know, all these guys coming behind you. But when I was coming out, you're talking Chanel Scott, David King, both of them went to St. John's. Robert Dan went to St. John's. It was just, no matter where you went, I don't care if you went to Long Island, there was a kid named Eric Coates, Kyle Ivy Jones, went to Rhode Island. So everybody, you were playing with D1 guys, so you only got better. You know
before you sneak off to the college stuff here, as far as just even playing at Hillcrest, did you play you play varsity right from the beginning?
Yeah, sophomore year, I was the 6th man and then eventually started.
Okay.
Somebody failed off. But we had 2 kids. Well, one guy named DJ Carter was like the star of the team. Another guy named Greg Johnson. And those guys were being recruited heavily. And myself came in, and another guy named Brian Walker, and he was being heavily recruited as a sophomore. So my sophomore year averaged about 6 to 8 points a game. Okay. DJ was all city, and it's different, like in Connecticut, like New York. There's 90 public schools and 30 Catholic schools. So for you to be all Queens or all Brooklyn, you had to be good. Yeah. For you to be all city, and make one of the 3 teams, and then you go to all state, where you're talking Buffalo, Rochester, included with the city. So if you were all Queens, you were good. You know what I mean? If you was all conference, you were good. But if you were all city, you were, you made any of the 3 teams, you were good. So junior year, it was me and Brian Walker's team, because we came in at the same time. And I went from averaging 6 to 8 points, I averaged 16 and 8 a game. Okay. And this is where the camps came in. I did really well at these camps. And I started getting recruited heavily. I was getting letters from D2 schools in the beginning.
I'm sure you had the shoe boxes.
Yeah, I still got the bag of letters kind of to show my son, But it picked up after my junior year. The summer I went after my junior, I averaged 16 and 8. Ryan averaged over 20 and like 8. And I went to camp and I made, at BC All-Star Camp, I made the top 40.
Okay.
They had top 20, top 40, top 60. And the camp maybe held 200 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then we played an all-star game. Like, so when they had an all-star game, I had like 5 dunks that was just, and they're like, who's this kid?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I went back to school, I was getting letters at home. When I went to school, I remember the first day going into my senior year, and my coach runs up on me before homeroom, before you go into your homeroom.
Right.
And he just grabs me and tells the home teacher he'll be back. And he grabs me, he's like, what did you do this summer? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, come with me to my office. And he came in here, a stack of letters from schools all over the place. And he says, you got your pick. You got your pick of the litter. You got a lot of D1 here, you got some D2, but everybody's predicting you as D1 material. So you have some opportunities here. And, so you bump into coaches while you're playing in his leagues. And there was a guy in New York City, and he just passed about a year ago, named Tom Kinchowski.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
No, Tom is. So Tom was, he was connected to every school, every coach, everybody knew him. He was the one basically writing up your bio, in a sense, as he sees you play and the competition. And I was playing in a tournament, and Kenny was there, Kenny Anderson was there, a couple of people, but some summer league team I was playing with, and I was doing well, and there was a coach, Coach Mike Brown, who was there to recruit somebody else on the other team. So, back then it was illegal for him to talk to me. And he had just come from Seton Hall. Remember, Seton Hall in '89 went to the championship.
Yep.
He was the associate head coach. But now he's at Central Connecticut as the head coach, right? He had his first year, and he sees me out there, and I'm having a good game. I'm playing with all-stars, and we're just having fun. And at the end of it, he didn't want to recruit the other guy anymore. He wanted me. So it was kind of, he couldn't talk to me though, So Tom Kinchowski was standing there as the mediator, and he's telling Tom, I want this kid at my school. You know what I mean? Do whatever it takes. I want his mother's phone number. I want everything, And, I listened, and when I went to school, that's, after that summer, I had a bunch of offers. I had a couple of coaches come in. Virginia Tech was really on me. They came out, the coach there was an African-American coach, and he had Bimbo Coles.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember him.
Yes.
And he was going to be a junior, and I would have been a freshman. And he wanted us to play in the backcourt together because they had a senior 2-guard named Gordon Lancaster, I believe. And he was like predicted to go to the NBA. And he wanted me to be, the next guy with Bimbo. And he thought we could do real well. Then, all these schools just came out of nowhere. Oklahoma State, Rhode Island, you name it. It just got ridiculous.
Now, how was you with the process, and also just your family? I mean, I do have an opportunity speaking to folks. I know they say it was foreign. It was foreign to, this whole recruiting process, not never having somebody to guide them throughout the process. Did you have anybody?
Well, I had, you hear things and your peers are being recruited the same way. The guys you're playing with, the kind of effort some coaches and schools are putting in and sending your mother flowers and sending, back then they were selling telegrams and trying to send money.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but my mother really had no clue. My father's side of the family, my uncles knew what was going on.
Okay.
But they were just like, do you want to play on TV? Do you want to do this? And then you hear you want to be a big fish, you know what I'm saying, in a little pond? You want to go somewhere and have to sit. So, make a long story short, I actually signed my letter of intent before I played my senior year.
Okay.
And I performed my senior year.
That takes the pressure off, though, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. You just want to concentrate on the SATs now.
Yeah.
My grades are always great. Concentrate on the SAT. I signed my letter of intent before I played my first senior game. And even then, the coaches, because they were still recruiting Brian, who was, as a sophomore, being recruited by Syracuse, Big East schools. And they started seeing me also, like, you're going where? you know, but Coach Brown is a heck of a recruiter.
Was there anybody in regards to any other schools that were close to Central here, or did anybody else could have got you that you were close to?
No, at that time I had, you know, Coach Brown brought a couple of things. First, I love the way Seton Hall played during that time, and he was taking kids. Those are all Jersey kids.
Okay.
I mean, if you remember that team.
No, I grew up next door to Seton Hall.
So you remember that team that played against Ramil Robinson.
Yeah, Andrew Gaze, Johnny Morton, all of them.
Yeah.
Johnny Morton, he's a New Yorker.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted. He had me, he recruited me and a kid out of Virginia. And he said, you're our backcourt for the next 4 years. And the kid's name is Kevin Swan. He's an ordained minister now. He's doing great down there. He's back in Virginia, in the Hampton area, and has his own church and everything. But both of us came in as a freshman, and right away, we were leading scorers on the team.
Yeah.
My freshman year. Sophomore year, it was sketchy. We had, I mean, like I said, Coach Brown couldn't recruit, but some of the guys that he recruited, just, you know, some didn't go to class. Talent out the yin-yang, you know. Some didn't go to class. Some, they just didn't take full advantage of the opportunity. And we had a horrible sophomore year season, and he wound up leaving. Coach Brown wound up leaving.
Okay.
At that point, I'm ready to transfer. You know, I'm home for the summer. I'm playing in pro-ams in, you know, in New York City like I always do. And a couple of schools reached out, and I was really thinking about leaving. And then I get a phone call from a guy named Mark Adams. And he's now, he does a lot of games on ESPN now. He's actually one of the voices for college basketball during the season. Shout out to him. He was such a good guy. Didn't know me from nothing. You know, he knew the numbers I put up. You know, my freshman year average about 10.5 points. Sophomore year average about almost 13 points a game. And he came in and said, Damian, I don't know you. I've seen the books. You'll be one of the veterans here. We're looking for leadership. You're respected here. You know, I know you probably have some other offers. And he said, but I'd like you to come back and try it out, you know? So, you know, went back to school, and he was a great coach. He basically rolled out the ball, and whoever can perform, that's
okay.
And with him, I wound up averaging my first year with him close to 21 a game. And then by my senior year, I was almost at 24 a game. I was like 11th in the country in scoring. So, you know, and then, you know, you pick up and I had opportunities to keep playing.
Yeah, before you even jump into that, just how'd you just continue to elevate your game? Because from Hillcrest to Central, it's two different worlds. You learn the business of college basketball. You still gotta study and perform in the classroom. Like, where did you find the time to put the extra work in to just continue to get better?
So, like I said, I was a late bloomer, so I was discovering a lot about the game moving forward. It was like, if I had to compare some of the guys that I played with in high school that were All-Americans and All-City and everything, some of them probably tapped out maybe a sophomore year of college. They probably who they were at that time. Me, by the time I was a sophomore or junior in college, I was on another level.
Okay.
I had just worked on, it's just everything from, you know, because I played forward in high school. There were so many guards around you. Everybody's a guard in New York City. You know what I mean? So as a forward, and I'm 6'3", but I can, you know, I was playing like power forward in high school because I was out jumping everybody or dunking or out rebounding people. I don't care if they were bigger. You know, we played that way. And by the time I got to college, you know, recruited as a guard, and you get to college and there's 6 guards there, and you wake up one day with all the practice, all the playing you were doing in New York, and you realize like nobody can dribble a basketball like I can. Out of the 6 guards we have on our college team, you realize you have that in your game, and you just nurture that and you just work on it. And the biggest thing for me was learning how to play. Okay, I could play the 2 and the 3, but learning how to play the point because I was a scorer. I was a slasher. I can get buckets. I can, you know, create mismatches. I can, you know, get and ones, you know, the old way, not the shooting threes out of the gym, you know, but it's learning how to get others involved and learning how to nurture their talent and keep their head in the game from a point guard's perspective. And that was a transition for me in college.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, there weren't guys on the team per se that can actually score like I could. You know what I mean? They had other talents, but they didn't score at that level. You know what I mean? And so you got to do a little bit of everything. You know, you could do a little bit of everything and make the game easy for everybody. And that's not easy, you know, when you haven't come from it. So you just continue to work, you watch a lot of film. You know, the reason I played basketball is because first time I saw Magic,
yeah,
I was like, I want to do that. Like the way he's running and passing and made the game look like fun. Remember, watching the Knicks was not fun back in the day.
Yeah.
Other than Bernard King, watching the Knicks or catching a Celtic game, it was boring. That's why I didn't want to play basketball. I seen this guy running up and down the court.
Yeah.
No look passes and the guy catching it and dunking it. I was like, I want to do that. That's fun. You know, so you learn, you know, like I said earlier on, I learned that I had that over guys that can shoot better than me, handle, and everything else. I can out jump you. Like I can block your shot. I can out rebound you. I can outrun you. I can do something you can't do. Like I can jump out the gym. You know what I mean? And that became a big deal for me. And college coaches saw the athleticism and like, oh, wait till we get him and you know, he's doing all the things we need him to do, but he's doing even more. Once we, you know, settle him down and teach him how to play the game, you know, and think the game, and it became, you know, once you're into it, there's so much film you watch. And again, I grew up watching Mark Jackson, you know, Pearl Washington, Rod Strickland, Kenny Smith. These were guys who I was going to watch locally at high schools when I was in junior high school, you know. So you learn and you see them go to certain levels and really get to that level like, wow, okay, they made it. This could be done. You know, just put in the work. And college is so different because, you know, and you notice that when you come home, like after the first year or so, and you're playing in the park, it's totally different. You've been in the weight room, how you look at the game is different. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier for you. You're doing things, you know, where you may struggle a little bit with your left. This is easy. Like everything you're doing is just when college practices, you know what I mean? You're really working on you. They're really focusing on you being able to do everything you possibly, you know, just fulfill your potential. And you know, any coach can look at an athlete and say, this kid can run and jump, catches the ball, he out jumps everybody. If he has a handle, and that's what happened. I became this guy who can really handle the ball, and they're going, he's got the package. So, you know, I had a shot out of college. And the next day, because I became the all-time leading scorer, actually, me and Ben Baker broke the record the same night. He broke the record for University of Harvard, all-time leading scorer, and I broke it at Central the same night. And him, myself, and Scott Burrell were inducted into the Connecticut Hall of Fame a month after that. And my coach came to me after my last game. They took my sneakers off my feet.
They took the kicks. They took, okay.
Put them in the Hall of Fame in Connecticut. They're in the mall over there in the Connecticut Hall of Fame. And they told me, you got 6 interviews tomorrow with 6 agents.
That's all right.
So I'm like, okay, well, I've already had kind of somebody I knew that knew of an agent. But, you know, I took the interviews and what could they do for you, me, and where they saw me. And, you know, because I was he's a scoring guard. Beasley Reese was actually the one doing all of this sports stuff in Connecticut. And he became a good ally for myself, and he really liked my game. And he introduced me to LT and everything. He's like, this is royalty, you know. But he really loved my game, wanted me to even work with his sons. He had 2 boys at the time that were like 12 and 13. And so I had some support. And, you know, I signed with an agent.
How did you come to decide with this agent here? I know you said it sounded like about 5 or 6 you entertained. Was it just a connection, or like?
It was a connect. I knew somebody in New York that knew of agents, and some guys I know that were representing
Okay.
And this guy, you know, I took a couple of meetings with him, and he was out in New York, so that helped me out. And joined his firm, and from then on, he took care of me best way he could. He sent me to the LA Summer League, which is a lot different now than it was then. And so I was in a free agent camp, and that year was the year Blue Chips was being shot. Shaquille O'Neal, Penny. I think Penny was coming out that year, I believe. It's 93. And we were in camp, and I did well in the free agent camp. I averaged about 16 and a half a game. And, you know, at night, you'd watch all these NBA All-Stars and everything. They're playing and working on their game. And then the teams play. You know, the Lakers had a team,
Okay.
Portland had a team. You had that. You know, so Strickland was there, and Mark Jackson was playing with the Clippers, but they were just there, you know, practicing with the summer league team. And I left there, came home, and I was drafted into the CBA. I was drafted into the Connecticut team at the time was
Connecticut
Pride.
Connecticut Pride, right.
I think they went to the Hellcats or something like that after, whatever, or vice versa. So I got drafted, and then I had 6 or 7 offers overseas, and I had NBA interest with 3 teams. And my agent said, don't go overseas, stick in the CBA, we're going to get you a 10-day. You know what I mean? Stay there for a month or 2, we'll get you a 10-day. He really got some serious interest, you know, from, you know, 3 teams and over 4 that's interested. So I was at the time finishing up my internship because I have an engineering degree, mechanical engineer. And I had finished up my internship. It was the last day, and engineering manager came out and wanted to talk to me. You know, he said, D, I like the work you've been doing here, and, you know, so-and-so, but we want to offer you a job. I said, we know that you have maybe a basketball career to consider, but here's another option if you don't decide to do that. And he played the game, and he gave me he slid a piece of paper in front of me with a number on it. I looked at the number. I'm only 22 years old.
Yeah.
I looked at the number, and I wrote my number down, and I slid it back. And I said, well, if you can reach that number, then maybe we can talk, but give me a day or so to make a decision. He said, well, we can do that number. So I remember having that conversation with my father. He was always about education.
Yes. And
I had friends, you know, it's weird. You have friends that want to see you make it, then you have some friends that don't. You really learn a lot about who's really in your corner, you know. And I felt like I had a couple of friends that just weren't there, you know, for me. And when you go to LA, and when I was in that summer league, you see a lot of guys that you know could make the league potentially, but literally leaving 2 games in, got a call from my agent, I'm going to France. I'm getting this 250,000, I'm out. And leaving right from California. They might have played at University of Colorado. I was meeting guys I played with across the country, you know?
Yes.
And they're just bouncing and going like, I'm not going home on my mother's couch. Like, they don't have their degrees, a lot of them. They didn't finish, you know? So, and back then, coaching was great, but it wasn't something, you know, you got to pay your dues in coaching.
Yes.
They're ready to make money at this point. They're ready to take care. Some got kids, some got, you know, real responsibilities. They can't go home. You know, you want to be 6'8", 6'9", sleeping on your mother's couch and trying to get a job back in the neighborhood.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Mechanical engineering.
Yep.
What was the interest? Because, you know, that's normally not a major or role us as Black men take. So I'm just curious.
Again, my dad was about education.
Okay.
And one of the biggest things he said to me when I was younger, and he just said, look, whatever you do in life, make sure it's around 30 years from now. Engineering is going to be around. Find something you like that will be, think about how the future is going to be. Think about what's going to be needed. Think about those kind of careers. We're not just talking doctors, lawyers. Think about other things. And I was always good with my hands. Like, I was a guy taking TVs apart.
Okay.
And figuring out what a diode was and a capacitor was. Like, I was interested in that stuff. Now, I didn't like doing that stuff with cars.
Yeah.
But electronics, anything, and in high school, I worked at a video store. This is when it really took off for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in the video store, it was the guy who owned it actually used to fix people's VCRs, right? And he would do 2 minutes of work. Might be a band, something not right on it. It's not working. The video's not playing. It's getting stuck. And he would clean the heads, on the VCR.
Yeah.
And he would change the little O-rings they needed in there. Maybe an O-ring pop. He charged him $100, like 5 minutes worth of work.
Fine. Yeah.
He was a technician at the time, and he was like, and I said, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to do minimal amount of work for the biggest bang in salary. But I like doing that type of work. It was interesting. Televisions, taking them apart, VCRs, all that stuff interested me. So I always wanted to do engineering. And once I got into it, it just, there's so many ways you can go with it.
Okay. Yeah.
So once I was at Gem Centers as an engineer, and I decided not to go play, I just disappointed everybody. My agent was pissed. Everybody was mad.
Yeah.
Family members was mad. Some friends was like mad, and some friends was like, now you got a 9 to 5 just like me.
Now, did you sense, you mentioned talking about you earlier a few minutes ago about people, know who they are and what they are as far as throughout your life. Did you sense at that moment there, like a lot of people living through you in regards to the whole wanting to make it to the pros or what have you?
Yeah, I mean, it comes with it once you reach a certain level. When you're playing to a level where you're being seen in that light, you actually have an opportunity to, because it's about the money, right? When you think about it, it's about taking care of everybody, in essence. And most of my family members weren't like that. They were more about, they want to see me happy, and you were the one who's supposed to make it. Like, you're the one that's supposed to be, the one. You have all the gifts, you have the attitude, you have the personality, and it works. You find out what you really want to do in life, and for a lot of guys, you see, go overseas, and that's something I really thought about heavily. But having an agent tell you, no, look, you really got a shot. You just make that choice one day. These are choices you make, just like choosing a school.
Right.
And you do what's comfortable. You don't look back. And everybody's always, do you regret? Do you regret? Like, I just stopped. I just stopped. I said, okay, I'm good. I have my degree. I have options. Like I said, I went to LA. There's a lot of guys that didn't have options. And I used one of my options. And still worked out. It still worked out where I've been, had a great career. Didn't think I could have a job to be working from home, with a company vehicle and a company credit card, and you have a territory and you handle your business like a man. It's just, so for those that think that, oh no, you could have this, I could have made, like my coach said, no, some coaches would tell you you're an NBA player. A real coach would tell you you can make a living doing this. You know what I mean? You can be financially set. If you want to do this, you have this option. And, at the end of the day, for all of us as men, black men, you just want to have options.
That's right.
That's what it's about. Gives you, and I learned that when I was, I'm sorry, my phone.
No problem.
Are all my college buddies that I play ball with. Free agent season right now, so everybody's going crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody's a GM. But yeah, you make the choice, you stick with it. I have a lot of relationships, a lot of friends that I know that played in the NBA. A lot of friends have gone on to coach and really do well, and and again, it's about your children. I have one son, and he didn't follow my footsteps that way. He's a nerd, a brainiac.
That's all right,
he's
though.
He's a computer guy.
Take that all day.
And I'll take it every, he didn't have to, but he has all the tools, athletically, everything else, and he just, it's that microwave, era we're in. He doesn't want to work at.
Right.
He wants to work at other things. He doesn't want to put that time in. If he doesn't get it right out the gate, drops it. It's this microwave era. But you could tell, like I took him to baseball for the first time. Never wore a glove in his life. Never done. He must have been 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
5 games in, he's the best player on the team. Put him in basketball. Didn't really know the game. But I'm like, you're faster than everybody. The jump out, you just gotta learn the game. He didn't want to put the work in. No, I'm okay. I'm good. So I never begrudged him for that. I mean, I just put more emphasis on what he wanted to do. And like I said, he's a gamer. He knows games. He actually has his YouTube videos. He's making money on YouTube. You know, he's in college now, and he's just enjoying the process. And I just had to let him know. I would show him, like, look, these are letters from colleges. This is with talent. This is what they'll pay for your education. And out of that, you'll have friendships for a lifetime. And you'll be able to travel. Like with basketball, I'm from the hood. Like we were independent my freshman year. We went everywhere. You know, our first trip in December was to California. Went out there and played USC, San Diego State. Like my third game of my freshman year was against Harold Miner. Remember him? We went to the league.
Yes.
I'm like, you're like, it's serious. You know? And then we wound up playing, you know, schools like LSU, Iowa, Kansas State, you name it, St. John's, UConn every year. When UConn got good, they got good as soon as I came. They got good that year. They went and St. George hit that shot. I was like, these guys were never going to the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I changed a lot of things here. You mentioned your son. I mean, it's being a dad. I mean, how hard has it been, or has it been an easy ride for you? You know, it comes with no manual.
Yeah, no, there's no manual. I mean, you know, we had him. We go in the hospital, 2 people. You come out, that third person. You're like, what? Yeah. There's no book to this. You know, and you just feed off of what you experienced. My ex-wife was very good. Still is with my son. He turned out to be a blessing. Like he's been the greatest. I mean, no problems, no trouble. I mean, just, you know, he listens. You know, he listens and understands, and he can see the work that I put in to get where I'm at. So that helps. You know, that really helps to say, well, Dad did it this way and Mom did it this way. He doesn't want to come up short on his end. You know, it's kind of that responsibility that he feels, and that's sometimes it's a good thing, you know, but it works with us. And big gentleman, you know, working his little part-time job. Bought him all the equipment he needs for his YouTube stuff and his gaming consoles and just, you know, being supportive in what he wants to do, you know.
Interesting you mentioned some of that stuff here. I'm father of one. I have a daughter. So she's 8. So
you're a real dad.
For now, yeah.
When you have a daughter, you're a real dad. You know? That's what they say.
Yeah. So I mean, so all the stuff you're talking about, I done got into like coding and all this other stuff too, man.
Okay.
It's a different world, so it's kind of I tell her, it's just, you know, these tools just get it. You don't need it. If you don't need it, you don't need it, but you have it though.
Right. I mean, eventually you will, you know. I'm in business now, like the company I work for, I eventually want to buy. It's on the table. That's what we're going through right now. But everything that you do, right? I don't care if my son gets into the media aspect of everything, or whatever. At the end of the day, it still comes down to business. You have to know business, you know, and that's kind of what I'm teaching my son. I don't care what branch you walk into, your company, whatever you're doing, you have to know the game. You have to know business and why businesses exist and and how they can help you. So he's learning all that. He wants to create his own LLC now. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. You know, you're going to start getting paid for the content that you have. Like, you got to know what your worth is. You know, you start with that, know what your value is, because people are paying for what you're offering. And you may not have to go work for anybody else. And that's kind of what I'm trying to provide by owning this company. It's, you know, when it happens, but you know, when you're able to employ people and change lives, make lives better, you know, it's just, you know, even the government considers you different. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Even the government says, well, you're making sure people pay their taxes. So,
Oh yeah, helping them out, right?
Yeah, it's basically what they want, right? So yeah, but it's it's a journey. You live this life, you learn a lot. You bump into a lot of people. Um, Basketball exposed me to everything. Everything I have in my life is because of basketball. And it starts out with a dream of just getting to college for free. Nobody was paying for college. We about to go. Just getting there like on a full ride somewhere. But what people don't realize, that full ride is a job.
That's right. Yeah,
it's a job.
That's right.
You can lose that at any time. If your grades aren't right, if you're not, being where you're supposed to be, if you're not being responsible. So that's what college is all about anyway, right? Being responsible, learning how to be an adult, learning how to actually, you got another 4 years of some teacher telling you what to do or somebody telling you what to do before and then respect that and understand why that's happening because you need this moving forward. So, everybody's journey is different, but you learn to appreciate. I mean, to this day, I still talk to my college professors. Good people. They helped me along the way. They saw what I was going through. And it wasn't like they were giving me easy grades. It wasn't like that. They were telling me, look, this is what you want to do. This is what you have to do, to get this degree, and we want to see you do it. So, that's what people have the misnomer of when you go to college. The professors want you to win. They want you to win. They'll go out and have a beer with you and sit down and be like, look, this is all you got to do. You know what I mean? Concentrate on this. Come to class. It's that simple. They want to see you win. They have no, if you fail out, they have no, that doesn't help them, So, it's been, I can't complain. I've made some mistakes like everybody else would.
Who hasn't? Yeah.
But you just learn to live with them and move on and help out the ones you can. I mean, a lot of things I'm interested in. I was always interested in music because I played the trumpet for, I don't know, 8-10 years or something like that, from junior high school through high school. And my buddy, music is big in New York, that time, especially at that time. My buddy signed actually as a rapper with Uptown Records back in the day when Andre Harrell had it.
Right.
So I was running around with him a little bit, and then we would work on music. I mean, he could play real well, and we just make up songs, and I've had music in my head for years. So now we have a little label, and we put out music. We have content on YouTube. We're called Ghetto Melodic Music. You can look it up.
Absolutely.
Ghetto Melodic Music, mostly R&B, some hip hop, but really R&B the way we do R&B. Before
original stuff, or you do
original. It's all, you go to YouTube. We have about 13 songs on YouTube, but in total, we probably have 90 songs, and that whole world has changed. Just like sports have changed, the entertainment music has really changed.
Yeah. How much of an outlet is that for you, just to get away and actually
that's
do
huge.
that? Yeah,
that's huge. I mean, it's a hobby, but it's something that we actually had an opportunity. This is why we really got into it and doing it heavy with the guy who was signed with Polo Ground Records and had some affiliation, I believe, with Def Jam, and he was coming out with his album. And this is before he was on tour with, at the time, Trey Songz and dang it, not Life Jennings, the other guy. Anyway, he was on tour with these guys, and we were trying to make his album. And New York dropped his single in New York, because he's from New York. And it came out, and it was the remake to Michael Jackson's Let Me Show You. Basically, it was his version.
Okay.
And they played it, but that wasn't a single they should have come out with to me. And he blew the bag of money in front of Clive Davis. What happened?
Yeah.
He was signed, but then Clive was going to put him on another level. So then what they do is they shelf him. They put you on the shelf.
They just sit there, yeah.
But we just started as producers putting our own stuff out.
Okay.
With various artists. We recorded with a lot of people. And we're just trying to find the right fit with the songs that we have. And again, it's so different, now, because everything is streaming. Nobody's going to the store to buy records no more.
Nah, that's right.
It's all likes. And so we put our stuff out on Spotify, you know, and that business is totally different. You know, you make it 0.000 of a penny every stream or something like that. But the world is your store.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, that's the difference. So somebody in another country is actually playing your music and liking it. And, you know, but finding an artist, it's not that hard, but finding an artist that's serious and finding an artist that can write. It's one thing to sing. We're writers also. And it's just, and then the kind of music you want to hear. It's kind of like a lot of people have to sit back now and just let this little wave ride through, because it's a different, and really who's listening to the music are the youngins. So they're the ones determining this. You know, where us older folks, I know how old you are, I'm sorry, I didn't even put you in that category.
No.
Like I do.
Just a few years behind you.
Okay. Yeah, we like what we like, so we stick to what we know. If it's a Donnell Jones or Joe, or if you're into that genre, we kind of still keep playing that stuff. You know what I mean? This is why these guys are selling out all these concerts now. Now that COVID is kind of over, everybody's out. You know, everybody's doing something, you know? And they're packed. They're selling out. The New Edition, the Jodeci concerts, they're selling out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of our lane. But the youngins are the ones that's on there streaming and posting on different people's websites. And I mean, you got to really be in tune to do that. You almost have to have somebody that's doing that for you, like managing that portion of your whole social media content. And we just don't have that kind of time. You know, we have a website. You can hear some clips on there, but if you go to YouTube, Spotify, and just type in ghetto melodic music, you'll hear our music. And we'll keep going with it, you know, see what happens, you know, but music don't stop, so we won't.
Nah, it's a soundtrack to our lives.
You know, it don't stop. So as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, you know, and you can minimize any issues, any problems, you know, in your life. And, you know, when you grow up hard or grow up around things, you just want life to be easier when you get to a certain level. You don't want to forget the health issues that come up, or when you just get older and, oh, that was that ankle from 1990 something, you know, that was that sprained ankle against Paul Spence, and it used to play them every year, you know. So it's, you know, so you just want to sit back and be able to enjoy it. You know, too many people not here no more, man. Between COVID and just a lot of guys not taking care of themselves. You just want to be here, man. You want to be here for your kids.
Most definitely.
You want to be here to see the good things in life, you know?
Most definitely. Most definitely. On the back end here, you wanted to fire away with it. Just put you on the spot a little bit, have some fun, some random, not so random questions, if you're cool with that.
Yep.
Cool. Obviously, being the Queens guy, I got to ask you this, man. How many times you spent on Jamaica Avenue?
Oh, man. Like, that's like every day after school. Hillcrest is down the street.
Oh, so
Hillcrest is right off of Hillside Avenue, then you're on Jamaica Avenue.
So you stayed in the Coliseum and all that?
All the time. Coliseum. You got to get the pizza. I forget the spot now, because there's one in Queens, Valentino's, but I forget the name, but I don't want to say it and mess it up. But everybody, but you had every high school that actually met on Jamaica Avenue. It was, I mean, where we were, Hillcrest, and then on the hill was Jamaica High School, Thomas Edison. Everybody from there went down the hill. You're on Jamaica Avenue. Then you got everybody coming from Bayside, Van Buren, you know, Jackson, Martin, Springfield. So you had to be on the avenue. Are you kidding?
Yeah. I can only imagine.
You know about the Coliseum, though, huh?
Yeah. I know about Coliseum.
Wow.
The club or block party?
I did a little bit of both. I mean, because I was going into high school, I was 6'1" already, so we were getting into the Q club.
Oh, they was even checking for you.
Yeah, we were getting in those clubs, but it's when, you know, I'd rather say a block party, because in those clubs I've been in those things where I don't know how we made it out.
Yeah.
You know, there have been, you know, it's not as bad as crazy it is now, but there were some times where you're in some spot and, you know, guns are being drawn and you're going like, oh my, and there's only one way in and one way out. You know, but this, you know, people wasn't just randomly usually was about somebody that they wanted, so you knew it wasn't you, so you can get around that. Like, we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still nerve-wracking at 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah. What you love most, being an adult or a kid?
I would say, as a kid, me and my sister, and actually she's here today. She came up from Jersey just to hang out for the weekend. But I would say, as a kid, we were already adults at 12, 13 years old. So I've always been in the adult mindset. Like, we didn't really have curfews. We did the right things. I mean, we can hang out later than most kids, but we weren't kids getting into trouble. There were times where I know my mother didn't know we were on a train, the D train, to go up to the Bronx when we were 14. But, she trusted us.
Yes.
So we were adults already. So I would say adulthood.
Okay.
With that, because, once you get to that point, we were at that age when we were younger where you wanted to be an adult. You wanted to be able to do adult things, And with that came responsibility, and you knew that. If you got your driver's license, you knew what that meant, especially if you didn't have your own car, you're driving, family members' cars, you knew what that meant. You respected it.
Yeah.
So, say adult.
I know you talked about that volleyball and the teacher seeing you dunk it earlier. I mean, remember the first time you actually dunked the basketball?
Yeah, it was. That's something we did every day after school, trying to dunk. First, it would slap the boards, grab the net,
Yeah.
And then you're getting it. I was always getting it with a bat. Basketball was a little bit bigger, obviously, right? So I was over the rim. It was just learning how to dunk. I kept hitting the back of the rim.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So after a while, it took no time after that. It was gathering your steps properly.
Okay.
It was, I just did it off of one leg. That's easy. I can always dunk off of one leg in 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
It's jumping off the vertical. And to me, that means really have hops. You know what I mean? Like, you can really jump.
Yeah.
And that's when I began to realize. And by the time I was in 9th grade or whatever, it was easy. 8th, 9th grade, it was easy.
Now, 30, 40 years later, you got anybody that probably still cringes when they see you because you caught them out there?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think it's a respect, Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, like, he got buckets. He did this. He did that. It wasn't, there's not per se one person. We beat each other up in practice. And there was some dude that you played against practice, for 4 years. And they might have been coming off the bench for you or trying to get your spot. And, they would come to you late. Like, I get a lot of guys to tell me about my game later on that I didn't hear before, like, oh, your first step. And I'm like, I didn't think that was. Yeah. And, and then you were stronger than you looked. You know what I mean? Like, we would hit you on the way up, but you would still keep going up as if you wasn't bothered. And then they would talk about the handle. And I used to say, wow, I wasn't saying I was basic. I know I was different.
Okay.
I know I was different from them. I was doing things they couldn't do per se, but there's more respect for the game as a whole, because it's a team game. And it's how we played it back in the day. It's totally different now, but we went to the well if you couldn't guard. You better make a decision. Like, the coach is going to keep giving Damian the ball or something. They can't stop him.
Yes.
They got to switch defenses. They got to do something. They may play a triangle and two. They can, they try anything they want to. But, that's something that a lot of people are not privy to. And it sounds crazy, but in college, teams prepare for you. They know Damian can get 25. We have to stop him. When you're being defended constantly like that, or people are always strategizing on how to stop you, your mindset is totally different than the average guy just going out there and playing. You know what I mean? It's like, I looked at the game from that view. Even when I watched Tatum play in the finals and Steph, like, the pressure they have to have defenses say, we stop him, we got a shot.
Right.
So I went into every game in college. It was like I couldn't hang out as much. I didn't want to hang out because I got to get my rest. You know what I mean? You guys can hang out because they're not worried about stopping you. And I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious. And your mental has to change. And you have to learn how to adjust to that. 1 minute, I'm 6'3". 1 minute, there's a 6'1" guard on me. Next minute, there's a 6'5" guy who's big and heavier. Next minute, there's a 5'9" guy just pressing me from end to end.
Yes.
So you have to learn to adjust with that. And that's the beauty of the game. So when I watch the game, I look at that somewhat through that lens for guys, like look at how much pressure he has on him. And if he doesn't get off, there's an opportunity that this team won't win. They do it in all kinds of ways. And until you really know what that feels like every game, every college game, because they got film on you, right? They're watching two games before you play them.
Your tendencies, everything,
everything. He likes to go left over here. If he goes left, he's passing. He goes right, he's going to score. Sometimes it's that simple.
That's right.
So you constantly have to work on your game. And our coaches will show you this is what they're going to try to take away. What are we going to do? And it still came down to your skill level. Still came down to you having the skill to beat that defense. So things you learn that some people don't think is deep about, but it's definitely a huge part of the game.
It is. It most definitely is here. I know best playground growing up that you played in, whether it's high school, college, one best playground for you.
Well, we played at Rutgers, played at West Fork, but in our neighborhood, we have a court called the Terror Dome.
Okay.
It's one court. It's tiny, and there are wars in there.
Yeah.
Wars. And if you lose, there's a good chance you're done for the day.
Yeah.
There's so many people lined up, and it used to be wars. We used to have other neighborhoods, like where we were on South Side, you had O'Connell Park, which was to our left, and that was where Boo Harvey and those guys were from. Boo Harvey from St. John's.
Yes.
We got Conrad, a bunch of guys over there would bring their team and play us. Their house squad, play our house squad in our park. And it'll be wars.
Yeah.
I mean, bragging rights, everything. And we used to travel as a group from our park to go play in like Long Island, play in Jersey. We played Danny Hurley and Bobby Hurley. We used to play them all the time because they were with the Roadrunners.
Roadrunners, yes.
And we played them, me, Dave Edwards, Brian Walker. A couple of us went out, we were playing with, I don't know, some Elm Corps team. And we went out to Jersey and we played, it was Bobby Hurley.
So it was probably most of the city, probably him, Hurley, Jerry Walker.
It was Jerry Walker, Bobby Hurley, Terry DeHare, Roderick Rhodes, and Luther Wright.
And Luther, yeah.
And off the bench was Danny Hurley and somebody else who wound up going to Seton Hall. They had a crew.
Okay.
And we lost to them about 4 or something like that. But you learn, Roderick Rhodes went to Kentucky. Everybody else went to Seton Hall and had a shot, And Bobby Hurley went to Duke and picked 7th or 8th in the draft. You like to go and venture out to find some of the best places, the best hoods to go play.
Did you ever make your way? You guys ever make your way over to the Bronx, to the Gauchos?
Yeah, we did the Gaucho. Like when I was younger, I used to go to the Gauchos gym. This is again with my mother treating us like adults. I was going to the Gaucho gym, which is a 2-hour train ride from Queens.
Right.
In the Bronx. So I used to go up there and practice and try to make the squad. It was just, the travel was just too much for me at that time. But one of the guys that coached there, Dave Jones, he started in our projects in Queens, a community service where, we had the gym. He would get a team together and he would have us travel at different places. And he was from Uptown. And he was really putting us on with competition when we was 11, 12 years old and showing us the ropes, like what's really going on here. And we had a ball with it, and Dave's still around, still doing the Gaucho thing. But it was all the names, the Malik Sealy's, Kenny, Anderson, Jamal Mashburns, like those guys were all part of that whole thing.
Yeah, Riverside too. Yeah,
Riverside. And so those guys, for you to make a team, they had like 3 different teams.
Right.
You know what I mean? At each level. And it wasn't easy to travel out there all the time when you actually didn't have it, you know what I mean? Paying for these trains and buses. And then, then your mother wasn't having it. You coming home, you got practice at 9 o'clock in the Bronx. You're 14 years old. That's,
yeah.
You got to go through practice. By the time you get home, it's 1 a.m. Like, what are you doing? That's not happening.
Yeah.
So, we had a couple of Queens teams and some Long Island teams that we can join, and we played against those guys. But, it was fun.
Yeah. Hillcrest to Central Connecticut.
As far as
however you want to define it.
They were both like impactful in my life
on
every level. Hillcrest, from a standpoint, I was always shy and quiet.
Okay.
You play a little basketball, you tend to get some attention from the ladies, you get attention from some guys. They see you dunking, they see, you grow up, you start to develop that personality of who you are. I was always a humble guy. I was always a quiet guy, but they bring a little bit out of you when you're playing. Now, college is a whole different ball game because from the time you get there, you're dealing with adults. You know what I mean? Most of the guys on the team are over 20 years old. You know what I mean? You got a couple of freshmen, the professors you deal with. Everybody you deal with is on an adult level, and everybody's there for a reason.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So just play your part, do what you're supposed to do. So you kind of grow up in college. Your personality's there, but you're really growing into who you are and some of the decision making, that you're going to go through moving forward. You start to develop a lot of that there and develop friendships that you probably wouldn't even, coming from Queens, it's we're not used to people just running up on us. Hey, how you doing? First day of college, I'm walking around. I'm like, I don't know you. I don't, but they're just being cordial and nice. You don't, New York, you got your head down if you're walking around, unless you know somebody. At least that's how it was. But yeah, so you learn more about yourself, and then you learn kind of, where you want to be in life, how you want to live your life. You're not thinking about that in high school.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's rare for somebody. That's rare. That's rare.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But at any level, best game you ever played in your life? On any level, does one just come to mind? Or a couple?
I had a couple in college that 36, 38 point games that were, you just feel like you just got it going and you just can't, like the hoop just seems huge. You're not even, and you're doing, basketball is about reaction, right? You're just doing everything off of instinct. You know what I mean? How somebody's playing you, how you can get your shot off, where their feet at, where your feet at. You kind of know what's going on. So one of my big games that I had that I was like, wow, we played Tulane University in Louisiana, and they were 20th in the country at the time. And their starting five was really good, but the second starting five, they had a name for them. They were called the Posse, right? The second starting five was just as good as the first starting five.
Okay.
So you bring 5 guys off the bench, like timeout, the next 5 guys go in, and these guys and they just pressed and tried to run you out of the gym. You know what I mean? They went deep. They went like 13 deep and just ran. And we were ranked 20th in the country. And in the first half, we're playing them and they're pressing out the gate on makes or misses. They're pressing. And we were struggling to get the ball over half court. So I really had to help, the point guards that we had. And I went on a tear in the first half. I had 27 in the first half. I wound up with like 39 or something like that. But with them pressing and everything, I was just chewing them up. And I'm totally exhausted. You know what I mean? Because I was playing a lot of minutes all the time because I had to score, I had to help bring it up, I had to, defend the best player. And, that game, you're just like, I'm just getting to the rim every time. They're pressing. I'm making my shots. And, I had some other games that were great in college. You just hate, unfortunately, the ones in college where I had really good games, we probably lost most of those.
Yeah.
But even with the good games that I did have when we won, those always feel a lot better, even if it's a 25-point game, 29-point game, which you guys win by 15, But yeah, there's you have those games that you just, there's some summer league games that I've had 50, some pro-am games where you have those numbers, but at the end of the day, especially the way they play now, it's like everybody can score now, it seems like.
Right. Speaking of teams here, best team you ever been on? Could be one of your summer league teams or little league, college, in between high school. Best team you ever been on? Could have been a baseball team. I don't know.
It would be probably like a summer league team.
Okay.
And it was 8
Loaded.
of us that were going Division One. Yeah, it was 8 of us that were going Division One.
Yeah.
And we played in a tournament, the Sunny Hill tournament in Philly. And we were playing, I believe, at Temple University, the Sunny Hill tournament, and we brought a team. It was 12 of us, and we went down there and put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
It was, people, when you played back in those days, when you play as a team like that and guys knew who could do what, nobody was jealous, nobody was, everybody was feeding the ball, everybody was getting their dunks, their crossover moves, everybody was shooting the threes, and we were winning, or we were having fun. But when you got other people coming out to watch you, and they like the way you play, and they're going like, I want to see this team play. You know what I mean? Went out there for 2 or 3 days. I think we played 7 games and we went undefeated. But there were so many teams that were good,
right?
In that, but you could tell who can get along. It's when you learn a lot about talent. When you got talent on your team, and everybody's, going somewhere at the time. We're all going Division One somewhere. It's just we all got choices, and we all know it, and we're all out there just showing what we can do. You really just showcasing your talents and working on your game at the same time. And those practices were great, but those games were like, whoa.
Yeah.
Those games were like, man, anybody can get 30. It wasn't anybody get 30. Everybody's getting 20 points a game, but it's how loud they were. It's how we were getting those points, It was a show. So I would say that was probably the team. And that was junior year going into, it was junior year going into our senior year. And we all knew. Like Kyle Ivy Jones wound up going to Rhode Island. Eric Coates was supposed to go to Oklahoma. He wound up somewhere out west. I don't know if it was Mexico State. Everybody went somewhere. And it's just good to have those games where we can actually talk about it on the high school level. And then when we see each other now, or sometimes we've seen each other in college, we played against each other.
Right.
And we know where we came from and how good we've gotten since then. And it's just been a blessing, It's been a blessing to be around talented people and had the same goals you did and took it as far as, they wanted to. They wanted to, Not necessarily an injury here or something like that, because you have those cases. But guys that got their degrees and 9 times out of 10 stayed where they were in college, like learn that community, learn that city, learn that town, and became big in that place. You know what I mean? Grew up in there, basically. That's how I was in Connecticut. From 18 to 30, I lived in Connecticut. You know what I mean? So I got to know a lot of guys that Paul would talk about, the Troy McCoys and Ooze and those guys. I played against all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the tournaments out there, in our 20s, our mid-20s, So.
Nah, and that's tough now. You mentioned the whole college thing with the transfer portal, folks staying a year, going to like 3 or 4 schools throughout their college. Yeah, so, I mean, to each his own. Yeah, to each his own.
Yeah, you just want to tell you one thing. The freshman year, when you go to college, if you're on a scholarship, it's a whole different mindset. You're on their time. You know what I mean? You're on their schedule. You can't just pick up and leave when you want to. It's everything. I mean, from the time you wake up, the time you go to sleep, they have you. You know what I mean? Like practice in the morning might be 5 in the morning. Getting up at 4 in the morning to go to practice, and you go to class, and you got study hall. At the study hall, you got weights, and you may have another practice, or you may have film. By the time your day is done, 10, 11 o'clock at night, you got to do this again and again. And some people can't handle that. They're not used to. Remember your senior year in high school? How free were you? You know what I mean? You know, your classes were done basically. You were just, college, they got you. Don't show up late. Don't show up tired. You better go to class because they check on you to go to class. They're paying for this education. And you have to learn right away how to manage your time. Like when to get your rest. How to get your rest.
Yes.
Learning the college schedule. Like your classes are here and these times. Everything, every semester was different. But your freshman year is tough because you got to adjust to everything. The people, the town, what you can and can't do. I had a vehicle, thank God I had a vehicle to get around. So you kind of learn on the fly. You don't have somebody dragging you around. And so I was one of the guys on the team that did have a vehicle at the time, but just learned a lot about you, to be honest with you. Learn about what you can take, what you can't take when you're thinking about giving up. I mean, there's practices when you're throwing up. You're like, I didn't know it was going to be like my practices weren't like this in high school. Practices was 5.5 hours in college. Start to know what tendonitis is in the knees. You start to have injuries you never had before. Finally find out what a hamstring really feels like. You know none of this in high school. So learn to take care of your body, by the time, and you're looking at the elder classmen to show you. I'm like, how are you doing this? How'd you do this for 3 years? How'd you?
Yeah.
And then you look at them, it's like, you have no choice. And then when you see that you can do it, it becomes very easy, but you have to, it takes a minute to get used to. And once you're in it, it becomes very easy. And it actually helped me out when I left college, because when I went to work and I had to work from 8 to 4:30, that was nothing. I'm like, that's it? I used to go to work and be like, the day's over? Because they had me from 5 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. So I was so trained, like, this is nothing. Oh, I can work 50 hours a week. I was, I was that kind of guy. But, sooner or later that stops. You start to get spoiled with that. You're like, but yeah, it's, you just get to learn yourself. When you learn who you are and you're very comfortable with who you are, and know exactly how far you can push yourself, because that's all it's about. Pushing yourself and being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
That's the key to it. Like, be uncomfortable for a little while, but that'll become comfortable to you.
That's right.
But we're so, and I'm from New York, so everything is so, like, nah, we don't do that. I can't do this. I can't, you open yourself up to stuff. Again, my dad in my ear. Go learn other things. Go learn what skiing is about. Go learn. You're not going to learn that on the block out here. You're not going to learn how to canoe. You're not going to learn how to, you make the decision whether or not you like doing that type of stuff.
Right. Or how
but
somebody
do
make it
try
for you, right.
Yeah, you decide what you don't want to do. Don't just sit on the corner like, I don't do that stuff. That's not for me. Learn. Like, I mean, there's things that I found out about myself that I didn't know. Well, I did some of those things. So.
Nah, definitely. Now, you mentioned the whole college is learning yourself or what have you. I mean, on the court, you actually did that as well here. I'm just asking a straight blanket question. You best basketball player to play at Central?
No, there were some guys that came through there that I wouldn't say the best. I mean, I'm up there. I think
I mean, you still a second all-time leading scorer.
Second, yeah.
And
second.
The other thing too, we talked about like offensive stuff. You up there in steals too.
Yeah. I mean, I played the game like in today's game. I'd be great. I'd be, because I mean, it's so open now. It's so open, like a guy like John Morant or how Derrick Rose was.
Yes.
Like, it's that type of athleticism that I kind of had. Not to their level, but that type of explosive getting to the basket. Just being real being able to use your athleticism in a way where you know you're in an advantage all the time with somebody in front of you. Like, I know I can beat this guy, but college is different. You beat a guy that's 7-footer in the middle, 6'10" in the middle. You got to learn how to, in New York, you can beat a guy and you're at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
College, they're almost pushing you to beat them. Now, push them that way. You know what I mean? And you beat a guy, and next thing you know, you got 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11". So learning how to maneuver on that level and making that quick pass or getting that shot off or that floater or, letting him try to take the charge, knowing it's going to be a block. All of those things come over time. And, the more you play on that level, the coaching is such at a premium because of the work they put in. Like real coaches on that Division I level. And I'm just saying anywhere else. I'm just being, honest with what I saw. I mean, they really prepare every game as if it's the last game. And they want to see the results. Like, you may go through a week of practice. This is how we're going to play this team. This is how we're going to. By halftime, that whole thing may change. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to adjust on the fly. You got to know, how you can strategically come out of here with a win.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
There's a lot that goes into it.
That's right. Someone who should have made it, however you define made it.
Someone who should have made it. I mean, I'll say this: the guy that he actually made it, but he should have made it beforehand. And if he would have been taking care of a lot in his personal life, was Sweet Pea, Lloyd Daniels. Now watching him, he was a savant. 6'8", point guard, could shoot it. There's nothing he can do. But if you would have caught him, he eventually made it to the league.
Yes.
He
played the Spurs, right?
Right. Yeah. But if you would have seen him like right out of high school going into college, and he could have been one of those guys that came out early. Like, I mean, he made it, but you didn't really see Sweet Pea.
Okay.
He averaged about 15 a game. He was playing with, I think Larry Brown was his coach, but if you would have seen him before that, like I said, I saw Pearl, Kenny Smith, Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland. All those guys are before me that I used to see when I was, in junior high school, when they were in high school.
I know What You Call just came out too. I got to catch it. The point guards that they just did a documentary. I didn't catch it yet.
Yeah, you got to catch Chib's story was something else. Kenny was like the #1 player ever since he was in 6th, 7th grade. And playing with him there's an all-star game in New York called the Wheelchair Classic. And it's the best kids in Queens. They have a team. Brooklyn has a team. The Bronx has a team. And Manhattan has a team.
Okay. And
you play against each other. And it's usually the best players in each borough that are seniors. And then they let 2 juniors in, So our team Queens team was Kenny Anderson, Dave Edwards, Khalid Reeves, Jamal Faulkner, Brian Walker, the guy I played with, myself, and named Mark Morris, who went to Tulsa and played with Tubby Smith when he was at Tulsa. We had a nice crew. The Bronx team was unreal. The Bronx team was Chanel Scott, St. John's, David Kane, St. John's, Adrian Autry, Syracuse, Brian Reese, North Carolina. We had another big kid. They had another big kid, Eric Mobley, who wound up supposed to go to Pitt. He wound up somewhere, I think in Arizona State. They were just big, and we lost to them by like 4.
Yeah.
And the Brooklyn team had Conrad McRae, went to Syracuse, Robert Phelps, who wound up going to Providence, and they weren't those 2 teams, the Bronx. I mean, Brooklyn and Manhattan weren't good that year, but the Bronx and the Queens team was stacked. Carl Beckett was on our team from Queens. He went to St. John's. But the coaches that were sitting watching this game.
I can only imagine.
I mean, it was like Bobby Cremins, Dean Smith, John Thompson.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody you can think of, every Big East coach, just about every ACC coach, a couple of Pac-10 coaches, and there's so much talent, in this in this gym. It's ridiculous. And, you know, you just never forget those times because, again, like I said, everybody went somewhere. Everybody went D1 somewhere. And it was just a great time for high school basketball, you know.
Oh no, definitely. Wanted to ask, what's the best part about being you?
Knowing that I don't know everything, I guess, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Being smart enough to know that there's still a lot to learn and being comfortable with who I am and the decisions I made. So no regrets, you know, no regrets. You wanna move forward and keep going, you know, like again, when children come involved, I got one, like I said, we have one, and you just want to see him fulfill his dreams.
Yes.
And that's all that's really about right now. I mean, everything else is great to have these conversations and to remember some of the stuff that you might have forgotten. But you know, there's a lot of lessons in that. You know, I guess the irony of it is like when you go to school, right? You go to school, they give you the lessons and then you take the test. When you out here in real life, you're taking a test every day.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
And you're learning your lessons.
As you were saying, I was just thinking that. That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? So when you think of it that way, it's kind of, you know, kind of makes sense. And you just, like I said, you learn your lessons, you make those decisions. It started with me of where I was going to go to college. The first tough decision I ever made in my life. And once you get to that point and you've made that big decision, you know, a lot of decisions are not going to be as challenging. Some will, but you know you have it within you to make that decision, those kind of decisions.
Now, speaking of decisions and lessons, I know with some of that becomes moments. I know you got a whole lot more living to do, but even up to this point, what's three of your best moments in your life thus far? I know you've probably had a bunch of them. What's three of your best?
My best. Well, having my son was, of course, was changed everything, especially a son. It's like, oh, the name will go on, you know, we just
yes.
Being proud of that. Being able to have the independence and the wherewithal to have a career where I had the flexibility to do a plethora of things because of the job and still get the job done and put myself in situations that are going to be advantageous, not just for me, you know, but for others. So that's another big, like, you know, moment that I would say.
Yeah.
I really, you know, it's nothing like growth within because so many people are struggling with that. Some people are struggling with who they are, and you know, you gotta give thanks for that, for knowing, you know, who you are and what you don't want to do and what you don't want to be involved with, and you know, being able to have the focus. You know, and I guess my best moments are always going to be around the people I love.
Yeah.
You know, because as you get older, you know, your circle obviously becomes smaller. You know, as men, we don't say to each other a lot. You know what I mean? Some guys, I have friends, I have relationships for 40 years. And I know when my boys have been hurt. You know, some people go through divorce, some people go through losing a child, some people go through so much. And it's nothing like being there for them and letting them know that they are loved.
That's right.
You know, that you will get through this. You know, there's always a reason for us being here. You know, and it's not about us. Like everybody, it's not about us. It's always about somebody else. It's always about helping somebody else or being in that position. And sometimes it's not a financial thing. It's just sometimes people are watching you.
Yes.
People are just watching you and learning and saying, I want to do things that way, you know? And it's all you could do. Like, I mean, I love traveling. But again, it's nothing like being around real people that you love, that you know love you and want the best for you, and you want the best for them. And at the end of the day, you know, you guys can have a life fulfilled of whatever you want.
Right.
You know, as friends, as family. And that's what it's all about.
Most definitely.
There's no, what do they say? There's no hearse. There's no Brinks truck behind a hearse.
I haven't seen one yet.
Can't take it with you.
Yeah, I haven't seen one yet. Yeah.
So enjoy what you got here. Enjoy every day you get up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you can actually be productive and fulfill one of your bucket lists, per se.
Definitely here. A book on your life. What would you call it?
Resilient.
Mm-hmm.
You know, resilient. Just, you know, there's so many things in life that can knock you down. And I come from a place where you play basketball, they talk trash to you. Some guys may walk home, never be out there again. They take things, you know. But I had a bunch of OGs around me that taught me, like, just, they beat you up. That's how I learned. You know, old guys beat you up, but they're preparing you.
Yes.
Preparing you what you're gonna get. So if you can handle this, by the time you get to college, it's gonna be a piece of cake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's understanding that, you know, there's times you're ready to fight these guys. These are grown men. You know, you're a kid, but they got you that frustrated, and they're trying to teach you something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Everything can't just be about anger and you just losing your mind, or if it doesn't go your way. You gotta be resilient. You gotta stick with it. You gotta stick with it. You gotta, everything. There's gonna be one door that shuts. You gotta be resilient. There's gonna be another one that opens.
No.
Just believe in yourself. Believe in, you know, who you are and where you come from. And when people are like that, you mostly see that they succeed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When you have people that are resilient, they usually succeed somewhere in their lives that kind of completes them and makes them happy, you know? A lot of people don't have that in their lives. A lot of people don't know what makes them happy. So, you know, you want to have that in your life, because that's peace. That means peace, right?
Yes.
You know, you have your happiness. You know, you can think clearly. You're not always under this cloud of whatever, you know. So, you know, when you're resilient and you beat the odds, let's say, and you see that actually happened, it just further pushes you to be even, as they say, a bigger beast, you know. You just keep moving forward. Well, I conquered that. I beat that. You know, when I thought I couldn't, don't ever doubt yourself. And like I told my son, he's, again, trying to be quick with everything. I was trying to teach him how to ride a bike years ago. And the first time he got on the bike, he tried to pedal and he fell. He just dropped the bike and walked away. You know what I mean? You got to stay at it. That's a little, you know, but, and he eventually did. But it's the world we live in now. Everybody shuts the door. When they get shut in their face, they walk away. They walk away. And if it's truly something you want to do, or a place you want to be at, then you can't stop.
No.
What's the alternative? You know what I mean? You're not getting what you want, or you're not being able, you're just gonna say, no, I can't all your life. You know, that does something for you when you're able to come through those times. You know what I mean? It gives you, and it fosters something internally that almost you feel, I can conquer anything I want to. You want to have that mentality. You know, because there's a lot of things in this world that'll shut you down, and can make a lot of people just walk away and just give up. You know, too many things, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So your focus has to be extraordinary at times, but just consistent. You know, just consistent.
Consistency is huge. It's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now this Damian here, this right now, this point in your life here, what advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old senior in high school Damian? What advice would you give him?
Just wow. I think I would be just have more belief in yourself, because when you're younger like that, you just don't know how talented you are. You don't know, you know, what gifts you truly have in essence, or how to nurture those gifts, you know. So, you know, be patient. You know, that's what all the older people tell you, all right, be patient. But understand is that there's always a means to it. There's always a path here. You know what I mean? And you have the choice to choose which way you want to go. You know, honor that path. Let that path let it open up to you. give yourself those opportunities that, you know, instead of shutting the door or not truly understanding what's in front of you. You know what I mean? Like really digging a little deeper in some of the things that you might be interested in, but for some reason at this point in your life, you're not, you know, just give yourself time. You know, be patient with the process. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Be patient with the process.
Now, interesting you say that here. Just my last question here. I know you talked about your mom, you mentioned your dad and how much influences they were here. You got a grandfather who played a huge part in your life that passed away.
Yeah.
What would he say about you now?
Pop will be proud. He wouldn't have liked that I stopped playing baseball. He's a baseball guy. He's my little league mentor. Like, you know, born in Jacksonville, Florida, you know, they played baseball down there back in his day. But he'd be proud.
Yeah.
He'd be happy to see that I did the things that I wanted to do. And I got to travel and enjoy life. And maybe, you know, he traveled, he was a merchant seaman. So this guy he was around the world most of his life, you know, and, you know, just kind of, it is what it is. Like, basically my grandfather said, do you and be happy doing it.
Yes.
You know, just be happy doing it. And because when it's over, it's over.
No, you're right
you'll
about
get it
that.
back, you know? So a lot of my family forced that on me. Like, hey, listen, man, enjoy this. You know, like my dad used to enjoy your 20s. You know what I mean? Get serious when you get in your 30s. Start looking at things differently. You know, by no means did they want to put pressure on me to be like, you have all these responsibilities. But enjoy it, man. Enjoy this thing because you're only guaranteed for so much.
Right. And to your point, I know Muhammad Ali had a saying, you know, you're 50 years old, you're still thinking like you're 20, you just wasted 30 years of your life.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Embrace what you did your 20s, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Embrace it.
Definitely not. Nah, Damian, I appreciate you taking time out. I know I called you out of the blue. It's a cold call, but I appreciate you willing to just jump on and do this. And I really enjoy listening to your walk here. I appreciate
thank you. I know I ran into much. I appreciate it. And any friend of Spencer's a friend of mine. So anytime, man, I'm here.
I appreciate it. Be well and
all right.
Great health with everybody on your end.
All right, then. Take care. Thank you.
Thankfully. You're welcome.
All right. Take care, bro.
All right, peace.
Later.
Wow, the joys of doing this, getting to meet individuals, hear about his or her walks. Damian, I really appreciate it. You know what I mean? True New Yorker, done very well for himself here. You know, I know athletics sometimes is part of this, and depending on who I speak to, but in the same breath, life parallels in this. And a lot of jewels, whether it's athletically, business-wise, or just your everyday stuff here. So I definitely appreciate the solid. With that being said, I'm just going to step away. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.